I think two or three important points. Supreme Court has very clearly trusted SEBI and asked SEBI to complete the balance two investigation points out of 24 which are pending in less than 3 months' time. So very clearly, I think the matter is not further transferred to any other investigative agency. I think which is a strong point here. Second thing, I think very clearly recognized that the investigation process carried out by SEBI is probably in line with, I think, the expectations. And there is nothing which is, I think, shortcoming in this particular process. So, which is a good endorsement coming from the highest court of the country. The third most important point, I think, which is an observation, I believe, I think it's been communicated that the regulator should have the teeth to investigate the kind of situation which one has seen in case of Hindenburg report in the media. I think this kind of a situation, regulators should possibly have the teeth in form of, I think, getting it examined in the jurisdiction which is outside their jurisdiction. If this is a situation which is basically implemented going forward by the regulations, in my viewpoint, I think the market will play much more safer than what it has played in this particular case, wherein the investors' confidence in general got shaken up because of whatever the media report came up from the Hindenburg side. I think this is the positive part of the commentary. As far as I think the business outlook on the company's or the group's business is concerned, in my viewpoint, I think it remains absolutely robust with EBITDA to the net debt situation of less than 4. I don't think that I think one should be worrying about this kind of infrastructure companies which are generating close to 60,000 crores worth of annualized EBITDA, which is growing at the rate of around 20%, with a net debt in the hands of around 2 lakh 10,000 crores. So to a greater extent, I think this particular situation is playing out very well. On the top of it, I think in last 8-12 months, I think one has seen the higher amount of capital inflows coming in from the other investors outside the company. Financial investors have invested money into the company and the groups. So from that perspective, I believe that this is a very positive outcome that the group is experiencing. Maybe the dark cloud is over now. One can look forward to the business outlook of Adani Group of companies. It relatively significant amount of optimism hereafter.
Yeah, I mean, with the disclaimer that, I don't own much of the Adani names, but I think it's positive obviously positive for the group, which is what the prices were telling you in lead up to the event. In fact, after the verdict, there was if you see some moderation in prices, maybe some profit taking. I think more importantly, directionally also for the economy as a whole, as a country as a whole, is positive because, if you start see, governance standards is something which you can't be compromised, especially when it comes to FPI flows. So any adverse verdict on one group also creates slightly bit of a spiral on the broader things, right? We have some instances in the past. So I think SEBI did, Supreme Court did the right thing, not really getting into the SEBI domain. They made the point that, almost 22 out of 24 cases are already completed. Balance 2 now are only pertaining more to short selling. And I think it's the government and SEBI job to, look at that. So it's also in a way establishes the authority and credibility of SEBI as a regulator as well. So directionally it is positive also in general for the perception India has as far as, the foreign flows are concerned.
I'm happy and at the same time a little upset as a market participant that this, what I would frankly call nonsense, dragged on for so long and went to Supreme Court, wasted not only time but also created a lot of anxiety with investors, institutional investors in the stocks of Adani Group, also lenders to Adani Group. I remember when the Hindenburg report broke out, the immediate worry was, will the lenders pull the credit lines? I think finally this has been conclusively put to rest by Supreme Court today. So I think the message is very clear once again that do not rely on allegations made by speculators like Hindenburg, which are just allegations. They are just a summary of what is already there in the public. I think these whole allegations have been entertained for far longer than they should have been, and I think now it is time for while SEBI does take action against Indian speculators for both rigging prices or trying to crash them, There has to be some deterrence that should be built for international speculators like Hindenburg. They can't just go in and make allegations and expect a sharp drop in price to benefit from them. I'm very glad that they finally met their match in a group like Adani that didn't back down, because typically these guys prey on fragile companies. But I think this case they met more than their match. And I think this is an even more concerning episode, because the group is one of the leaders in infrastructure building in India. You look at ports, airports, roads, pretty much everything where infrastructure is there. Adani Group is part of it. So for somebody to try to destabilize this group, itself raises concern. So in summary, Neeraj, I'm quite happy that this has been finally concluded. I think people should move on, and hopefully next time an episode like this will not happen. Another Hindenburg report, people will just look the other way and say that these are unsubstantiated allegations, do not carry any weight.